So it is the 25th of January already. I mean, no one knows more than you, Nick, how quickly time flies and how much can change in a year. So all my listeners know you, but this is Nick Alvear from Good Lion TV. How are you doing, Nick?
Oh, I'm so good. I'm so good. It was a great week. A lot of hard work is paying off, and there's a good grind that's forming now in the workflow that I have around me, and I have like help. There's assistance now, and that makes a world of difference. Truly, yeah.
Doesn't it make that's such an important point you've put on top, because us humans are social animals. And when you've got the right team around you that are all resonating together and going for the same aim, it's so motivation, isn't it? I mean, I've got my good friend Andrea that's on board with me and helping me out, and just having that shared passion and so important, as well as the physical health.
Big time, and it's a beautiful reflection of what can happen when you have friends. Like sometimes we get so busy in the world, it's hard to make time for friends. And so when you got a friend, the friend supports you, and you support them. It's a similar thing to have an assistant. They support your cause, your mission. They want to make it better for you. They are your friend. So it's a great way to grow. I used to be afraid of growing in that way. Like the first year of me making movies and building the website, it's actually probably the first year and a half was all alone, you know, and it kind of sucks. It's great and it sucks. The reason why it sucks is because you're building with others and now you got to get better at communicating,
Yeah.
and that's a challenge. And then yeah, it's good to do it alone because then you have full control and you feel responsible for everything that goes right or wrong. So I'm loving this new direction. I love where this is headed.
I'm so happy to see it, and you can really see it in your team, in terms of what you're producing, in terms of where you're going and everything. And I think there's such a synergy with what we're seeing going on a bigger scale, isn't there? Is I'm sure we've all, I mean, by the time you get to my age, trust me, you've had your fingers burnt a few times. And I've had various different businesses over the years, and I've made some real disaster choices of people to work with me, and I've made some really good ones, but each one has taught me something different, good or bad. Might not have appreciated the lesson at the time, but I do in hindsight. But
Exactly.
opening your heart up, one of the things we're going to be talking today, I'm going to ask you where, we'll see where you're at in general, but a really important thing we're going to be talking today, which is coming up so much for people, is how you stay authentic to yourself, follow your truth, but also stay in the heart space, because I think that's a constant challenge for a lot of people and goes into every aspect of their life.
Yeah, that is, especially in a world where today you've got darts of worry, a battle of darts of worry that are just above your head all the time. Whether that's when are these, mandates going to end, or what's the future look like? What does it hold? Family drama. A lot of families are getting split. A lot of relationships are getting split. It's so hard to remain heart centered in the most turbulent time of our lives. So, what do people do? There's one or two things they do. One thing is they embrace or they race away from it, and
Mm.
that could be with drugs. It could be with any form of distraction that helps them get away. But the real way to progress is both, because if you go that way and you start doing drugs and all these things, you're going to end up hitting a rock bottom that's going to open up your heart at some point. And then if
True.
you don't do that, and then you realize I should just learn how to deal with this, then you will find a way, if that's the way you want to find it, so to speak, because it's all about what we want, what we're certain on. Then we tell the universe, and then the universe will give it back. But we got to get certain. What does that mean? That means knowing it in your thoughts. So I like waking up and wanting success. How many people wake up thinking I want success today and I want it in this way, in this way, in this way? Not many people. Most
Mm.
people will just wake up and they'll just continue with the routine that they've been going on. So I think the first step in wanting to remain and to build that heart centeredness in this chaotic world is to want it and to know that you need it in order to move forward.
Oh, I love that. It's so important to really take some time out as an individual, isn't it? And get focused on what you really do want. Because in the community that are watching your work, my work, etc., there's a lot of debate at the moment because everyone's moving at their own very unique space. And so, for example, I've spent the last 2 years doing so much research on so many different topics that I wouldn't normally be getting into at all, and doing the usual going down the rabbit holes. And then you get to a stage, or I've got to a stage where I think, right, okay, I've done quite a lot of background stuff, enough of looking back. Now I need to look forward. And then you bring out something like your latest Pervy Wood with Stephen Corraine, which I haven't watched yet, but I'm going to watch as soon as we finish this tonight.
Cool.
And then I'm ready for the next stage now. And I think people understanding that it doesn't have to be one or the other, does it, Nick? You're going to all go through your different stages where you take on information, you assimilate it, and then you go back for a bit more.
Yeah, 100%. And with this last film, The Pervy Wood, Stephen Colbert, people are remembering things that were very hot topics around the peak of, I would say, 2020. Like, there's a few videos in there that this is a darker film. It makes people cry for those who aren't prepared to realize the torture of children, basically. Because there's Pervy Wood 3, I released a small excerpt in it of Stephen Colbert. And in it, there is a video clip of John
Be careful
Podesta.
with our words here because we're going on YouTube. Yeah.
I've become a pro.
Yeah.
Especially last week. And yeah, you can hear what is well, that video got censored for a specific reason. And so now it's back in this one. And when you watch it, you realize, oh, that could be John Podesta doing that. And then you realize later on, like, oh, that could be Stephen Colbert's true colors. And after a while, you start not doubting. It just is. You can now see very clearly through these people. And making these films is I don't know. I think I have the ability to not let it bother me.
Yeah.
But yeah, for some people, they'll watch it and leave. Some people will cry. Some people will watch it and get motivated to do something. But I feel blessed because I can face these dark topics and it doesn't really crumble me. And maybe that's why God gave me a hard life in the beginning, to be able to withstand the things I'd have to be able to share, or I was wanting to share as I got older.
That's such an important point, because also, do you think, Nick, it's because you've got such a clear intent about your why you're doing this and sharing it that you can cope with what is in it and the content matter?
That's massive. Yeah, the why is everything. I remember going to Unleash the Power Within, the Tony Robbins seminar in 2016, I think. And that was the most important thing that he drilled into all of us. There was about 30,000 of us in the San Jose Convention Center, maybe a little less. And that was the message, was get your why straight. Because if you don't have a why for what you're doing, when you want to give up, then you're gonna give up. If the why you're doing it is strong and strong enough, you'll never give up. And that's definitely what's propelled me. I remember the first time I really got shocked at, whoa, this is the reality. This is happening to children. And I can remember vividly, I was upstairs sitting on this couch watching An Open Secret, and I felt, oh my God. And then the Hampstead children. And that was when I realized I could make movies like this that will make other people who don't believe in this stuff happening believe in it. And then that's where it started to spark. That's where the whole why came from. It's basically ties back to my mom too, because my mom was sexually molested by her father, who was a priest, Catholic priest. And now I'm shining all kinds of light on this next film that I'm making. It's Pervy Wood, Mother Teresa, and it's basically a Mother Teresa and a Fauci, Pervy Wood. It ties in a lot of the dirty truths of the Catholic Church, the Vatican. Mother Teresa, she's Mother Teresa. Most people have no idea.
They have no idea. This is where I get most ridicule from my family and friends, is when I start talking about things like this. But so many points you've raised there. And for me, you know, the reason why I want to watch this next version is because it makes my why even stronger about why I'm doing it. Because, you know, I'm a mother of lots of 2 and 4-legged kids. And I cannot let this you know, whatever little bit I can do, which is a tiny bit of the jigsaw puzzle, but we've all got a little part to play, because every time we shine the light on this stuff and shine awareness, then that's one child, one animal, you know, that is going to be saved or listened to. Because we've all seen so much of this problem is because a lot of the victims are just not listened to, and those are the ones that actually live to tell the tale. And so I think your work is so, so important, because change is uncomfortable often. And knowing what world you're living in, how can you possibly make the changes you want if you haven't got a base point of where we're at? You know, with most areas of our lives, quite often we have to get to a stage where there's something we're not happy about, whether it's our health, our relationship, our finances, to trigger you to make that change.
Yeah, big time. That happened to me throughout maybe the first 25 years of growing up and being maybe conscious enough to be aware. I always felt like there was so many things about me that I had to change. It was almost like a sick addiction of thought that would find something and say, oh no, that's wrong, that's bad, that's you're probably gonna get sick, this and the other thing. And it was weird. I didn't understand that, but that kind of helped me steer to become obsessed with meditation, because I felt there was something so wrong with me that I wanted to fix my defilements. And that's when I just went 100% into becoming a monk, pretty much. And that did change my life in many ways, in many, many ways. And there's a sequence. I could really write a book about how to ignite a person into caring about making some changes, because there's a lot of people who smoke cigarettes, and like some people enjoy smoking cigarettes, some people will smoke it and say I have to quit. So there's a difference between, like, this guy chooses it, this guy wishes he could choose. And so in these moments of what kind of thing can I do that will make me have the willpower to choose better, one of them is, and I might have mentioned this before, but there's a really cool exercise, a visual exercise, where you could make or purchase a Excel sheet. It's a spreadsheet. It's a very big one. What, a spreadsheet? Yeah, let's check it out. It's got, you got columns, right? You've probably got 85 columns, which would signify, 52 columns a week per column, and rows going downward, 85. So you got a lot of squares here. These are the squares of our life. These are the weeks of our life. And if you start Xing out each X or box that you've lived, then eventually you'll go, oh, well, how long do I think I have? Let's just go to 77. Maybe I'll throw my feet up at 77 and retire. And then you X out everything after 77. And then you see how many weeks you really have left, and then how many of those weeks are devoted to something else. How much free time you really have is small. And I remember seeing that, and for me, it made me go, oh gosh, like, how am I going to do what I want to do? And that was even before Good Lion. And it helped me. And my friends would come over and I would show them, and a lot of them hated it. They didn't like that exercise because it made them feel almost uncomfortable, because they weren't prepared to realize that they don't have that much time here. But it's better to be, told in advance than to realize it through, oh, your friend just passed away, your mom just died, and then realizing, yeah, life is short. We should be able to trick ourselves into realizing it so that we can use it as fuel. And so, yeah, right.
So important. I mean, conscious decisions is such a topic at the moment, and that's really what you're saying there. Every day, and I've been studying this stuff for years, and you still get it. It's still so much work in progress, but that's the fun of it, because it is about the journey. I mean, I have had very sad week because I lost one of my cats last week, and oh, just most gorgeous, gorgeous cat.
Sorry to
And
hear.
oh, thanks. And when you go through any sort of loss, or something like that, it's such a time of reflection. What could I have done better? How could I have spent more time with them? Whatever that reflection is for you. But if we can incorporate that reflection into our daily lives and make those positive changes and really live every moment of our life, and if we all did that,
Yeah.
these evil things wouldn't be going on. You know, that this is the thing. It's like, it's very easy, isn't it, for us to humans to bury our head in the sand and think it's not directly affecting me, so let's just shut all that out. But really, on our subconscious level, we know that things aren't right, even if we don't really know exactly what's going on.
Exactly. It's like the bystander effect where, oh, like, someone sees someone getting beat up on the street. Maybe it's a lady getting sexually abused in the street, but everyone walks by it and nobody does anything.
Mm.
The phenomenon called the bystander effect, because everyone thinks, oh, someone else will help. Someone else will do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And now that's, we can't do that now. We can't be bystanding, hoping that, well, I mean, we can. It's great to hope. I hope that Trump really has the devolution theory in his pocket and he's
Mm.
preserving the government, and that it's going to crumble in our favor. But at the same time, if we all just did that, no one would be getting up, going to rallies, showing how many people actually care and are aware. And that's happening a lot, a lot, a lot. And I almost wonder if it's all by a godly design. Turn up the heat on the earth right now, like not the actual physical, but turn up this heat with the
Mm.
and bring the people to a boiling point, and let's watch them evolve. Maybe.
I think that, yeah, it's so true. So if people, let's talk a little bit about your latest film.
Mhm.
Now, what are you hoping that that's going to do to people, trigger in people, bring up in people when they're watching it?
Good question. When they watch it, they're going to have a realization, if they haven't already yet, that there are pawns of the elite out there who are designed by design, made to trick people into trusting them because of their humor. And with that trust, then the programming, the true program that they're creating, that they're broadcasting, it's a casted spell, then the true program has its wheels. So, but the thing is, when we realize this, it does not have wheels. And so in watching this film, you'll see, oh, wait a sec, I used to like that guy.
Mm.
And I'm seeing, oh, I've been under a spell. I had totally ignored all of those signs. And so, yeah, like when you realize it doesn't end with Colbert, it
Yeah.
doesn't start with him either. Like I'll show this real quick. This is the cover, and it's basically, I like that I'm putting this Illuminati triangle with the top upside down, because we're kind of doing that right now. This is the thing I've been tripping on lately, is that when we're looking at this, the reality is this screen that we're looking at, and anything that our eyes are looking at, everything's actually upside down. And the way light is going into our eyes, our brain reverses it.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of what I want to happen as people come to Good Lion. It's they're realizing that the world is so inverted, and as they train their eye, they now are going to see it the way it truly is, similar to how, for example, there have been studies where people just regularly put on glasses that invert reality, make it upside down, and then they go, oh, and they're having problems doing things. And then all of a sudden, maybe an hour later, they can do anything. They can ride a bike because their brain switches it.
Mm.
So with training, watching Colbert and seeing, oh, it's like putting on those glasses. and seeing, oh, wow, I didn't know he was worshiping Satan like that. And then you start to really question everything. You start to wonder,
Yeah.
what about Oprah? What about Ellen? And what about, so that's kind of like, that is exactly what I'm hoping to do with all the Pervy Woods, really.
Yeah, it's just absolutely brilliant. And I must say to everyone, the thing is, if people haven't watched them, I'm sure most people watching this will have seen a lot of your work. But the great thing is about what's happening is there's new people getting on board and opening their minds to this stuff all the time, which is absolutely wonderful, because it's always a very individual journey. And your Good Lion TV, I mean, I'll put all the links below, obviously, everyone below the video in the comments box. But it's ridiculously good value. I think it's $48 a year to watch all that content. And the thing is, we have been spellcast, we have been television, they are selling the scripts, and now we need to sort of put the balance right, because I've said it so many times, it's like Wayne Dyer quote, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And you just need that one bit of seeing how things have been averted for people, for them to start seeing the snowball effect of every other aspect of life, isn't it?
Oh, big time. It's kind of interesting to see what that is for each person.
Yeah.
Like in 2001, 9/11, that was a big one for a lot of people. They went, hold on, like that doesn't make sense. And then there's video of people down on the ground looking up saying that wasn't a plane. There weren't windows. That was black. Even till today, people like Michael Jaco, former CIA Navy SEAL, says that it was illusionary.
Mm.
And and I kind of believe it. There's video of someone down below filming the plane, and you see the wing goes behind a building when it should have been in front of it. And it's a trick of the eye. It's kind of like when you wonder what kind of technologies they have that they haven't released to the public. It's far advanced than what they're giving us. So back then in 2001, I'm sure they were doing some CGI already. And
Oh God.
right.
And even Nick, even on something really simple. So I used to be part of a book club with a group of my friends. We'd all read the same book, and then we'd get together and discuss it. It was really a good excuse to drink wine together. But anyway, but the thing I loved about it is you're all reading the same book and you're all coming up with completely different interpretations. And I've been through stages of like reading the same book several times, a few years apart. And each time, because you're a different person then, because you've got a different awareness, you get completely different things out of it. And this is what I love about what you're doing, is you're putting down a record in time. And then each time someone watches one of your movies, they will get something completely different about it, because you're never the same from one second to the next. Your awareness and your mind does play tricks on you, and you only open up to receive the information that you can cope with at that time.
Exactly. And having the awareness that we may not always be right is good, because then it leaves doors open for growth. I remember people sending me videos when I was working 9 to 5, and I was open enough to watch them, even though I immediately thought this is bullshit. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. But then I thought, why do I not want to watch this? Like, aren't I curious still? And I remember I had a boss at that time who it's just so eerie how much I've become like him. It's weird. But he told me one day, he's like, I want you to be a little more curious about things. And I thought, what? And then it did hit me, because it was true. And so then with that curiosity, I would allow myself to watch or experience things that were uncomfortable. And for example, like a flat earth movie. I remember at that time, I'm like, the world's not flat, but I'm curious why people think it. Let's find out why they think it. And then in finding out why they would think it, I would realize, like, oh shit, man, maybe they're right. And then I would have a great time just, you know, fondling ideas of possibility. And that for me, maybe it's the Pisces in my Mars. I love to daydream. I love to dream of possibilities. So that's a thing, if people out there can not hold so tightly onto what they think is the only way, they may find other ways that add to their way and makes everyone happier.
Yeah, my friend Bryce and I, we're doing a series at the moment about discovering your passions. We really want you on for that. But
Oh,
we
cool.
say to each other the whole time, the classic thing is the more I learn, the less I know.
Yeah.
And we love that. So, I came from a scientific background, and it was all about prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it. And you still get asked a lot to do that. And now it's just so freeing to say, just to keep questioning, because the true meaning of science is to question and then prove or disprove the question. And I think that's what life is really. you know Keep questioning, and your results will tell you how it works out for you. It's like, you see people who push all these health supplements and things like this, and I've got ones I love, but the results are pretty obvious really, aren't they?
Yeah.
Got to look at yourself physically, look at how you're feeling, look at your vibrancy, and then it's pretty obvious whether it's a good one or not.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, this is the beauty of growth. I do look forward to seeing how we all grow together. How we're
Yeah.
all, because that's the biggest challenge it feels like right now. It seems like we're all getting on the same page. Like, but it's just taking time and it's hard. I still watch videos of people who are they're very strong mockingbirds for the media,
Mm.
and to the point where they're like they are growing a hatred for for other people that don't think like them, and they are the ones who lack this curiosity the most. They're not sitting there wondering why others are acting the way they are. They and if they did, they might be more curious to ask and then grow through it and find out, wow, we're all pretty much just the same.
Oh
You know?
yeah, and different stages of your life. I mean, I can remember when I had two really young children, lots of animals, full-time job, all the other sort of things you're trying to fit in. And there's no way I'd have had the time then to fit in the level of research I'm doing now. I just physically not enough hours of the day. And now I'm at a different stage of my life where I can do that. And everyone's situation is very unique, and that can change like that, particularly at the moment where a lot of people are having to find themselves looking after loved ones and things.
Mhm.
So I think that's so important, just to realize that everyone is at a different stage, and to keep that open heart. Um, because we didn't, I mean, when I look at things that I used to believe 10 years ago, I think it's laughable now. It's like, what was I thinking? But, that is the beauty of going through these different stages, isn't it?
Yeah, big time. It really is. I think that's why a lot of people recommend having a journal or a diary.
Mm,
You can go back and go, huh? I mean, sometimes we can go back and see old Facebook posts or Instagram and go, oh my gosh.
yes.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's something. It's something.
And
I
that's why yours is so special, because you've got this down now in the movies. So what a legacy, what a library. As I say, I call it the cool school.
Yeah,
But what I love is you can dip back in with, you'll find out something else, and you can go back and rewatch something and then think, oh, bingo, I missed this bit, I missed that bit. Now that makes sense.
exactly. There's some people who are like, I'm watching this again, or I've watched this 5 times, and I love that. And I feel like this next one could be possibly one like that, this Mother
Mhm.
Teresa film, because I'm writing it. I'm writing it now, and I'm hoping to finish it in a week. And I'm realizing that there's a lot to say. There's a
Yeah.
lot to show, and especially because of Mr. Dr. Anthony Auchi, him especially. Like the correlation between those two are getting to a point where it's a necessary movie for this time, and it's hard to tell what's really happening behind the scenes. Boris Johnson's letting all these restrictions go with these mandates and such, but under the table, there's some other things happening that may
Can I tell you
require.
something about that I saw today? Sorry to interrupt. So, everyone, all my friends across the globe, is saying, oh, you're so lucky they're vaccinating all the mandates. But they are still pushing this like you've no idea, including to young children. But
Yep,
also, I saw announcements today, a couple of people sent me some stuff that, like, a lot of the big supermarkets are saying, even once the mandates dropped, you've still got to do these to come in our stores, we still expect you to. And okay, it's not law, but I'm like, I don't want to support businesses like that. But it does make you wonder, how much are we seeing the government pretending it's not my problem, it's them?
Yeah, I know.
You know, there's more to it than meeting the eye. Why would the supermarkets not all say, but it's all like, oh, to keep everyone safe? And you're like,
So
oh,
much.
so it's nowhere near as simple as it's being made out of. And
Yeah.
even that, Nick, you know, let's employ a bit of common sense. So they say, as of next week, no one needs to wear this. Oh, so what's changing in a week? You're grown adults and you're saying, oh, I'm going to wear it up until Thursday, and on Friday I'm going to take it off because the whole world's changed.
Yeah.
It's so ludicrous, isn't it? But people are still doing it. But now they're pushing it on to the, it seems, I don't believe that's not some financial incentive, some government interference. I just don't believe that they're not still doing it in an underhand way.
They really still are. They really still are. And yeah, that's similar to what I saw this morning too. Is like, yeah, there won't be mandates, but yet they're still going to be asking for proof of this booster, if you want to call it. And so, yeah, just the whole chess game right now is a great movie waiting to be made, because
Yeah.
we're watching it. We're watching it, and the White House press secretary did a Freudian slip and said, I think it was Joey Behar. Maybe, I can't remember the interview, but it was recent. And she says, "Oh, I heard you're retiring or you're leaving the White House after this year." And she goes, "Yeah, it's actually been really great working for President Biden."
Yeah.
And so, and then there's a clip right after that of Obama talking about how great it would be to have a third term where he could just talk to someone in an earpiece. That's what it feels like we're actually seeing, and it most likely is.
And do
Obama
you
was
believe those things, sort of things? Well, I mean, I know it's just a bit of hearsay and what we think, but do you think that was actually a slip, or do you think it was a deliberate?
Ooh, I know there's the other way of looking at it. If it was deliberate, that would mean that she's included, and that whole administration is included, in that possibly their job is to push the envelope to the edge so that people
Which I
wake
have
up.
heard a lot, but I've got no way of verifying.
I know. It very
Bloody
well
good actors if they are. Well,
if this was
Biden's not, but she is.
right, and I mean it would. We'll find out one day, because
We will find out.
there's even that moment where she was in there speaking and she said, "Hold on a second, there's planes above us." And
Yes.
there shouldn't be planes above you. And are you guys having a good time seeing how dumb we are, or are
Yeah.
you having a hard time trying to wake us up?
Yeah.
Right?
So frustrating not knowing, isn't there? Because there's so many different, I mean, even I heard loads of discussions today about General Flynn. And I mean, I don't know, I've never met the guy, but you know, so many diverse opinions and everything. But again, I still keep coming back to distraction, distraction, distraction with all these things.
Yeah. When we saw all the 17, the letter,
Mm.
all that come out, it felt real. It felt like we were really being spoken to, and given code and given heads up on what could happen. But it seems a few people have mentioned that maybe that operation was hijacked,
Mm.
which gave it a weird ending, because there's nothing happening there anymore. But when it comes to all of that, it's hard to tell who's on our side or not. And with Flynn, when I saw him in Dallas and he was talking about the vaccine and people were booing, he got pissed. He got pissed at it, and it was weird. It was
Mm.
weird to see. I was thinking like, whoa. Same with Trump.
Mm.
He recently did something and brought up Maxine, and a group of people, which I think was most likely a lot of people, not just a group, started booing.
Mm.
And he basically made him sound like a small group of people.
Mm.
And he said like, "Oh, let's quiet down, let's quiet down." So yeah, it's very confusing. I don't know where we are on that, but I can have a hope, and that hope is where the devolution theory says it is. And if people wonder what's that theory, you can DuckDuckGo, Patriot Patel devolution theory. It's like evolution, but with a D.
Mm.
And there's movies on Good Lion TV. If you go to the Mr. Truth Bomb, on the front page, you'll see it's Trump holding an American flag. He makes a lot of films that are completely revolving around the hope of Trump and that whole movement. Why does the White House have a wall being built around it right now? Why are
Exactly.
Yeah, and why is there explosions going on the second floor? I think even a parliament building in Canada also has a wall being built around it. They are preparing for in North Carolina, South Carolina, the border. They're doing a mock civil war in
Yeah,
a
no.
few weeks. Yeah, to where the U.S. Army is fighting against freedom fighters.
And if
So
people don't understand the significance of that, just before this whole pandemic hit, they did a simulation in New York of exactly what we've been living through the last 2 years. So sometimes these simulations, I mean, look at the 9/11, which I shouldn't say that too many times in one show, but that was on that day, they were doing a simulation training exercise, weren't they? So not for that exact scenario. So these things are important when they do various simulation exercises. We need to take look, and again, do you believe, Nick, that with consciousness that we can change the course of the future?
Absolutely. Our consciousness is so distracted in the world. The majority of people, there's a lot of people out there who are hip and they're like, hey, I'm going to train my mind to be still. I'm going to train my mind to generate love and kindness. And there are maybe a majority of people who aren't like that, who see the billboards, who see the TV, who watch the sports, who watch the movies. It's getting to a point where I think we have to be the shining examples of how we can help others get out of this slumber. The slumber is real. The slumber is very real that I'm seeing, especially in cities, especially LA. I'm in LA. Yeah. It's something. It's something. I lost my train of thought. I was going to bring up something in regard to that.
Being the shining example of sort of living the life, because when we're looking at creating the future, for me, that doesn't mean that you don't keep educating yourselves on what's done, because when you know the mistakes of the past, particularly ones that have been deliberately hidden from us, then it's much easier to make conscious decisions for the better, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is a really good time for people to sit down and learn, because a lot of people lost their jobs. Maybe they're on support. Lately, I've been watching I put this on Good Lion TV in the Red Pill Cinema. It's the Greatest Story Never Told, and it's about Adolf Hitler. And when you start to watch it and you realize, hold up a second, it's highly possible that what they've done to Trump, they did to Hitler.
Yeah.
And when you see that, you go, hold on a second, then what's going on today? Everything must be inverted. For example, everyone is starting to get very hip to the vaccine, to C-19. But now what's going on? Now we have a looming threat of a world war. And it's almost the great distraction. Once we're all like, hey, what's going on? Ukraine is at the center of this. Russia wants to take care of Ukraine. The U.S. does not want that. So the U.S. wants to take care of Russia. What is it that's really going on? It seems that because in the Ukraine, that's Biden, that's Obama. There's so much corruption. They've been taken over by that corruption. And Putin may have been Hitlered and Trumped in the same fashion. Whatever they tell us is usually the opposite.
I think that's the key. That's the biggest thing I've learned. If you really want to know what's going on, look at what's on the mainstream news and reverse it, and you're not going to be far wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, why do all these 3-letter organizations all around the world, not all, but most, have a logo of the earth, not as a sphere, but flat, right in our face?
Oh, and that's the other thing we're learning is so in your face. And it's just like, oh God, how did I miss that? But maintaining a sense of humor throughout it all is important. And I think also from what we were just talking about is that realizing that our actions on a daily basis are going to make a difference.
There we go. Yeah. People need to realize that their minds are stronger than they realize. That really, once you decide that you want something, act, do something about it. That was another thing from UPW that made a lot of sense is when you're clear on something, do something, act on it so that it's not a thing of tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't exist. A lot of times people be like, yeah, I'm too busy today. I'm gonna do that tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't exist. Right now does. So if you find yourself with a passion, a fuel to do something, lose weight, gain some awareness and spirituality, do something then so that you build the habits to continue. If we all did something like that, because of the nature of reality and the feedback mechanism of our beliefs intertwining with reality, we would make some massive change. And it's actually already happening. The Great Awakening is that. We're all becoming hip to, wait a second, that's a boogeyman. They're not really, they're just using fear to scare me. They're not real. The Wizard of Oz. These are all, it's the power structure of fear, and the fear gives them power. And truly, fear is nothing real. It's we give it the power, which is very interesting. So,
and it is very contagious. I mean, I saw a study today because of what I was researching on the animal health, and it's so obvious, all this stuff, but sometimes people need to see a paper on it. And they've proven that animals, they were studying dogs on this occasion, can pick up humans' fear, and that then they take it on, and then that changes their behavior really quickly. But that's what it does to all of us. So if you're living in that state of fear, was what I'm loving about what you're doing is you're researching all this difficult stuff, but you're so passionate about it. You're doing it with the right energy, which I think comes across in all the films.
thank you. Yeah, that is it. That is it. The films are in 432 hertz, the music, so it's soothing, it's heart chakra opening, because most people don't want to come forth and put themselves through an uncomfortable experience and watch something that's going to make them sad, depressed, or cry. That's not what all good lion films are, but a majority are. The whole Purviwood series is a big shocker. But then I love making films like Weird History, where we talk
Yeah.
about some sci-fi that intertwines with reality. And yeah, so like after this Mother Teresa Purviwood, I do want to introduce the concept of what is the moon, what is the Antarctic Treaty, and are we on a flat Earth? Those are so much fun to do.
Such fun. And are the clangers real? You probably
Yeah.
don't know who the clangers are. We used to have a cartoon called the Clangers that lived on the moon.
Oh,
It's a British joke, probably, of people of my
clangers.
age, but yeah, it makes me laugh every time.
Wow. Could you believe if the moon was not real? Like if you couldn't walk
Well,
on it?
I've been looking into this a lot, and I'm really still don't know where I'm going on it. But this is so much more important than people think, because as a herbalist and someone that's worked with nature, with natural products, with, I would have been called a white witch, you know, and I think have been called a witch a lot currently and in the past. But
Right.
the moon is so significant. You know, we attribute parasite cycles, women's cycles, moods, energy, ties, everything is so linked, or so we're told, to the moon. So if the moon's not what we think it is, then that opens up all those areas as well,
Mm-hmm. Big
which is
time.
fascinating, because, you know, it's amazing how many times you get told something, you know, well, does Mercury retrograde really affect all our moods and our tech like that? Or is that a complete false thing as well, you know?
Right. I mean, Mercury retrograde, every time it comes around, it makes itself so present. And I go, damn, it's real.
Well, does it to the people that have no awareness of it, though?
I
Because
know,
my
right?
husband wouldn't say it's got any effect on any of his, because he's not into it at all. And
Yeah.
therefore, he's never has any technology or any issues or anything.
And then what
So
if
isn't
it
that interesting? Does it, if people don't believe in it?
exactly? And that could be tying back to what we believe in is what we create. Because
Mm.
yeah, I remember before I even learned about retrograde, I never complained every 4 months about a car issue or
No,
technology or dramas.
never.
But I do remember as a kid thinking, why am I always getting in trouble every 4 months? And that could be why, but it really could tie back into, are we a virtual reality machine? Are
Mm.
we like in one? Are we an Oculus Quest bodysuit instead of a headset? And are we the programmers of our reality as well? And quantum physics will show that possibly yes, that we are. And I find it true. Some days this is what I do. I wake up and I will make sure that the first thing I try and do, and I do, is listen to the birds outside.
Mm.
That means that my mind is quiet enough that I'm paying attention to the stillness inside and outside. And just being there for 5 minutes, sometimes one, sometimes 10, sometimes 30, will set the standard of peace for the rest of my day. Because
Mm.
that's where I think the true ultimate creativity comes from, is from being in the present moment completely, where thought is not a jungle gym where we're playing and planning and worrying and excited and dreaming. That's good. There's nothing wrong with all that. It helps guide us. But it's like, do people go to the gym and work out all day? No. Some Dorian Yates would work out for 45 minutes every day, and he was freaking huge. Of course, with steroids, but not everyone on steroids was that huge.
Yeah.
So it's all about concentrated effort in how you do things. So if you're waiting in line and you're like normally like, oh, like you're at a grocery store and you're like, I don't want to wait in line, and your mind is going places. Most people don't realize that that could be an addiction to thought. And when we realize that we could get rid of that addiction by understanding there's a realm called no thought,
Mm.
we can then get better at that. Kind of like if you're learning how to balance on a tightrope, at the beginning, you're going to suck, and it's going to, but you might get it for 1 second. So in the beginning of your mind training, you might get that moment of no thought for 1 second. But
Mm.
that 1 second, the next time you do it, it's going to turn into 2. The next time is 4. And then you'll have moments where you're like driving and you have no thought, and you're in line at a grocery store, you have no thought, or you're working and there's no thought. For me, finding that place of no thought, that is the bucket of creativity's water that I go and I scoop up. And yeah, that's what I'll do when I make music and movies and when I wake
It's
up.
brilliant, isn't it? It's lovely. It's such fun. God, I could talk with you about this all day, but we mustn't keep everyone coming for so long. So is there anything else you want people to know about before we finish, Nick?
Yeah. Do you want to see a minute trailer of the Prairie movie? It's
I
YouTube safe.
do. I
Cool.
really do.
Let me share it. Let me share it. It's been I did show it on Jayco's. I showed it on mine. And here
I
we
did
go.
see it actually. It's really powerful.
Cool. All right, here we go. This is for the fam.
Follow me down the rabbit hole here, okay? Who is Jeffrey Epstein? I've never met Jeffrey Epstein. I'm in on Pizzagate.
I'm in on Pizzagate. Pizzagate.
Oh.
Mm.
When you look
Crazy.
at him, I mean, I didn't even know who he was before this all came out for you, because I don't watch things like that.
Good.
When you look at him,
Yes.
oh,
That's the
repulsive.
thing.
Would not want to be in the same room as that man, would you?
No, I wouldn't. I could see it.
Yeah.
And most people, oh yeah, the reason why I made this film is because he called me out. As you saw in the trailer, he had his fun and made fun of me a little bit. Not even funny, but yeah, you can tell there's something in the eyes. It's kind
Yeah,
of like
definitely.
how dogs. Yeah. And then once you see that, you go, okay, Stephen Colbert, all these points, his eyes. Then you go to someone else and you look at that person who might have been convicted for those crimes, and you go, he's got the same eyes.
Hmm.
And then you start to wonder, what about that person? And then I wonder, when Ghislaine Maxwell gives out these 8 names, is this the massive domino that's going to bring this whole thing down? All she has to say is Barack Obama.
Yeah.
That's it. And then people are going to go, because the next Pervywood after Teresa is Pervs of a Feather. So it's called Pervywood, Pervs of a Feather. And what it's going to attempt to do is intertwine the phenomena that happened with Bill Cosby, America's dad. Everyone wouldn't even think in a nightmare the truth of who Bill Cosby actually is. Comes out and everyone's in shock, but now it makes sense. Same thing with Obama. So most people think, oh no, that's America's first black president. This is America's president. Nah, far from the truth. And I think we're going to live to see that.
I think we are. And I'm sorry, family, you've got some, because when I've said about the Obama's children, who I feel desperately sorry for, I must say, horrendously sorry for, so many innocent victims in all this scandal, and that's a thing to sort of remember, a sort of thing. But oh my god, Nick, I literally could talk to you all day. Thank you so much, guys. Let us know in the comments below if you've watched the film. Let us know what you think of it without getting us banned on YouTube by putting it too controversial there. And I'm sure I will be able to persuade Nick to come back in a few weeks' time and give us an update on the next one. Thank you so much, Nick.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Look at the link below, guys. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.